And welcome, everybody. Welcome back to another great show, everybody. It is me, your boy Rico No Suave. Oh, man. I am super happy to be back with each and every one of you guys. And because I love to be super happy, is because being happy is okay. But being super happy is even better. That's why we have this show, everybody, for you guys to be able to tune in and rock it out as far as with me for 1 hour here on the Rico No Suave Show. I also want to thank everybody for your continued support. Hey, if you're on the TV, hello, how are you? Hey, if you're actually going to be live chatting with us, hey, how are you? Welcome to the show because, it's all about having a great time with each and every one of you guys. We got a fun-filled packed show for you guys today, and when I tell you this is going to be fun, it's going to be fun, everybody. We're going to have a great, great time. But we got to get started because, I had the opportunity and I just got back from LA. And, this is kind of a little bit of story time. But what I want to tell you is this. When you go out to be able to network with great people, and being in LA, I met so many great filmmakers and also actors and actresses and musicians. And also I even interviewed a chef. An Italiano, man, forget about it. My guy, Adriano Costa. And thank you, Beverly Pomerantz, as far as for that as well, too. And Priscilla Leona, the queen of Hollywood. Thank you so much for a great time. I met Isaac, my guy, Isaac Jean-Paul. Yes. He is a Paralympian for the Special Olympics. Had a great time as far as with him and Susie Singer Carter. Man, the filmmaker and also the writer from Bratz. If you ever seen that movie Bratz, yes, you can check it out as far as, of course, on the Instagram that I actually posted a lot of the photos as well, too. But man, big shout out to everyone that showed me nothing but love when I do come in town, but it was awesome. But I do have to actually put this one photo up because this photo here of Sam Dever podcast, we actually did the jersey swaps. I felt like it was the Chicago Bears, the Chicago Bears and, one other team, the Steelers, we actually just switched jerseys and it was nice. But of course, these are t-shirts. Big shout out to my man, Sam Dever podcast. He was awesome. I have to say that having a great time as far as with him interviewing me and me basically interviewing him from a talk show standpoint, it was amazing. It was on. So we had such a great time. And I have to give big shout out to him because normally his podcast is like an hour and 45 minutes, but he's like, hey, Rico, since you're in town, I just give you an hour and 15. I said, okay, no problem. I appreciate that. And it went by so fast. So big shout out to the producer as well, to Eric. Big shout out to Eric, the videographer and the guys in the back end doing great things for. Make sure you check out Sam Dever podcast. He's actually on YouTube. Check him out on LinkedIn and all that great stuff on Instagram. But it was good, man. So thank you also for the shirt. Now, the shirt also says Produce Your Passion. Produce Your Passion is another segue of doing virtual as far as interviews, because most of his interviews are in-house, but he's doing a virtual segment of it. So check out Produce Your Passion. That's going to be coming up. That's going to be hitting hard as well, too. So, man, thank you guys so much as far as in LA with showing love. All right, everybody, I got to introduce. It's time. When I tell you it's time, it's time. It's time to introduce two beautiful people. They just work so well together. And I had a pleasure to be able to meet them in person. And when I tell you that they have the energy, but also the energy to be able to know being in this industry itself is being humble and loving what you do. And also, I tell you, the first one, because ladies go first, when it comes to this young lady, very enthusiastic. I love why she's always on stage. I understand why she is a concert singer. I understand why she's also a producer. She's also a dancer. I just found that out. She's a dancer as well, too. But, hey, and then we have on the flip side, the other of the dynamic duo, over 30 years as a composer, an arranger, as a producer, arranging the music, composing. He plays the guitar. He got the keyboard. Man, he hooks it up. But putting them together is like a dynamic duo. And I want you guys to put your hands together for Christina Leanhart, Bernie Penzias. They are Volxtronic. Let's go. Yeah. Hey, guys.
Hello.
Hey!
We are
How
here.
are you?
Good.
We're good. You're
It's
excited.
good to see you. Good to hear from you. How's everything going?
Oh man,
We're in the studio making it happen.
Let's go. Let's
sun
go.
is
I,
shining.
I, I
That's
like
right.
that. Hey, I am super happy that you both are here with me. And big shout out to Priscilla Leona for actually introducing me to you both and us just meeting each other. And I have to tell you, when I saw you on her show, it was amazing. And of course, we got something special for the guests later on. But I have to say that I'm super happy. I just fell in love with you both when I actually heard about your journey. And I'm like, my audience needs to hear about the journey as well, too. So are you guys ready?
We are
Oh,
ready.
we're
Born
yeah,
ready.
born ready.
Let's go. Let's go. All right. So, of course, Volxtronic, how was it developed and where did the name come from?
Okay, so we're in Topanga Canyon, and for people who don't know Topanga, it is like the hippie haven in the beautiful Santa Monica Mountains. And I was invited to a show in Topanga, and this guy was playing his guitar because he was the guitarist and musical director for one of Austria's top acts of all time. And someone said, "Oh, he's a producer too." And so I said, "Hey, let's do something. Let's take German and Austrian folk tunes and spin them together and give them a twist."
Wow. Wow. There's so much to be impactful there. When it comes
Well,
when you put in
if somebody comes to you with a crazy idea like this, that you hardly can say no.
exactly.
If it's a charming person like Christina, you're like, there's something to it,
Yeah.
We
So
had enthusiasm of doing this.
I love that. And I think because of that energy that you both have with each other and because being in the music industry, and it's very hard sometimes to be able to find another partner or a person to be able to join the group, right? And being able to say, hey, I accept the idea. Let's get it on. And then you have the idea, then, things may not go the right way where you want it to be able to go. But you guys seem like you guys have been working very awesome together, I should say. Where's the Volxtronic come into play?
Okay, I mean, we're combining folk songs or snippets of folk songs with electronic music, and that just screamed folkstronic.
Right. Because instead of like folktronica with an F, as you'd spell it in English, folktronic, and that is a genre. We said, let's go, because it's German, let's go cool, and folks, because if you know Volkswagen, that means the car of the people,
Yeah, I got a Volkswagen.
Electronica for the people.
I like that. So the name is catchy, number one. Love the name. It also feels like you guys are forming something when you hear Volxtronic, and I think because of how you guys have put that name together and how you guys have formed that, that was awesome. Let's talk about the ideas because the journey starts when, of course, you get the name, you come together, and then you have roles that, of course, you both play within, Volxtronics. How did you guys get started with start to compose music together? How did that start working?
Well, I mean, I have to actually correct you a little bit here because the name came later.
Oh wow!
When we started doing this, Christina had this idea to take these folk snippets and put something around it, and then the more it developed over time, the more we thought this is the way to go. And one part of the excitement I think that we had for this project was because this is really unique. I don't know anybody who does that.
No.
Maybe it's a stupid idea. I don't know. Nobody does it.
Yeah, I'm surprised nobody does it. Why don't they do it? So, yeah,
No.
and Bernie's the mastermind behind all the composition and the production, etc. I come in with the folk tune and the singing and the lyrics, but then Bernie does all the production. All in this amazing, well-equipped, amazing studio in Topanga Canyon, overlooking the Santa Monica Mountains.
Let's go. Oh, I have to come to the studio. I got to come to the studio.
Next time you're in LA, you have to come. Visit.
I definitely have to. When it comes to because, and thank you for the correction on that, because sometimes people come up with the names and then they say, okay, we formed a group. But I'm kind of glad that you guys went into it saying, hey, let's form what we really want to be about, and then let's go with the name, which I think is super awesome.
First you make a baby and then you name it.
Right. Right. Some people decided ahead of time, but then the baby comes out completely different, and you're like, oh.
I'm gonna keep that one in mind, Bernie. I like that. Okay, I was like, okay, when I see y'all, I'm like, okay, yeah, they made the baby Volxtronic first, and then they said, okay, we're gonna name you this. I like that. Okay, all right. So because now that basically you guys have two separate journeys within one, pretty much. This is what I feel, because of the mastermind behind your talent when it comes to, of course, it's the composing, the beats, the instrumental piece, as far as for you to be able to have that melody of Christina's voice when it comes down to connecting that together. Now, practicing makes perfect, of course, but how was it, because you both have the style, and of course, because you have the folkloric piece behind that, what was practice like between you two when it comes to actually putting the songs together?
There was no practice.
We didn't practice. We just started laying it down.
What?
Like all the vocals were just laid down on the spot, and I kept thinking we'd go back over them, but we didn't.
So I mean, you know what? It always starts with the idea first.
Okay.
We're using snippets of folk songs that, at least in Europe, pretty much everybody knows.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And but we thought we build new songs around these snippets and make them into something new and make it different. And if you do that, then it all comes together. I mean, you hear like the melody, and then what I did, like I heard a melody and it's in a major key, which is a very happy key, and I thought this needs to go darker. So I made the same melody in a minor key, which is like a sad or dark key. Wow. And these kind of things, one thing leads to another, and then there comes a beat, and all of a sudden, you have a beat and a vocal. And,
he pretty much just laid it down.
Yeah,
recorded it.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes Bernie would get at the guitar and start getting a riff, but in a few minutes we're recording.
Yeah.
Wow.
And you want to do this as quickly as possible and keep it fresh.
Correct.
Keep the ideas fresh. I
mean, it's not easy for everybody to do what you're doing. It's just not, because we consider that as freestyle, right? Mm-hmm. You freestyle what you're doing. It sounds good, and we got it. And let's move forward to the next. I think that is, I think that's good. That's amazing. And I think because when you're freestyling something and then you got to go back to listen to it, right? You go back and listen to it. So when you knew that you freestyled something and you went back to listen to it, did you like, oh, this is good, let's keep going?
It's the morning after.
Right. Besides. Well, then Bernie tweaks it, or we might chop it up a little bit, or we might say, okay, now we need this here or there,
It's too long. It's too
short.
Right.
But, we start with, it's like when you talk about the freestyle, you talk about, jazz greats, jazz musicians, what they're playing. And you think, wow, I've gone to jazz concerts where they all just got together that night. And they create something that is so masterful, so it's when people can improv, then
it's a way of improvising, I guess.
Right.
Yeah, I like that. I like the way you guys improvise, man, because if I ever needed a song for you to do for the show, I know it's going to be done in a day, so I like that. I like that piece, because that means that you guys are both like equipped to be able to give great music whenever you guys are actually ready to just give great music, and feeling, of course, the vibe, the rhythm, the beat, the music behind that makes a big difference in regards to how the lyrics come out as well too. Before I go to you, Christina, have you ever, like, when you hear a beat from Bernie, have you just came out as like you're listening to it and then the words just come out automatically when you're actually just singing, or is it like kind of that, I wouldn't say like a lullaby, but more of a like a words that you can't explain and they just come out.
I mean, sometimes, yeah. I mean, we'll start with, usually I'd say, okay, let's take this folk tune, but let's give it this theme,
Yeah.
like Augustine, it's about the Black Plague, but then let's talk about like big pharma and people, everything. And so the pandemic, everything. Right. And so, but then Bernie will start riffing, and then we need to find maybe a verse, because like the verses are all original. We take the tune, and then we've got to build on that. And so then that would a lot of times be something that Bernie's getting a beat going or something, and then we're kind of getting words to that riff.
Yeah. I like that. I gotta come and see you guys, and like when you guys are just freestyling, just catch you off on a day and say, hey, I'm coming by the studio with you guys. I just want to see what happens, because that's like living legendary stuff right there, because not everybody can be able to do that right off the bat. All right, cool. Time is flying by fast when we're trying to have some fame around here. So Christina, we got to get to ladies first, right? Ladies first. All right, here we go. Christina, knowing that you have multiple talents, let's talk about your singing career. Please tell the audience what type of style, which you kind of gave a little bit, but let's remind them as far as what does Christina have as far as that style, and what category of music do you sing?
Right. So I grew up playing flute in the orchestra. So I grew up totally classical. We only listened to classical music in my household, but I loved Harry Belafonte and the Kingston Trio. So then I get into musical theater, and then I go to college for opera. So I think I'm opera. But then I realize that there's more work elsewhere, and I realize I'm much more crossover. So you would call it, I mean, I have my chops in opera and my background, and I've done a lot of opera arias, but then it's crossover. So it's called crossover classical, like Sarah Brightman, but then going into folk too, like Kate Bush. So starting in the classical, but then moving it into popular genres.
Awesome. So when it comes to opera, because opera and classical, and I even heard this from musicians, that opera and the musicians in opera and classical music, it's so disciplined that you have to be really on point as far as with practicing a lot, and then being able to, of course, be in front of the audience, and being able to be in front of the conductor or whoever, whatever that guy is. I know who he is, but it's just more of making sure that when a classical comes into play, you guys have to be able to be really on point, because I heard that's a hard industry to get into. Would you agree, Christina?
Yeah, first of all, you have to be note perfect, which is why I like genres that where you're allowed a little bit of because sometimes with emotion you might crack a little bit, and it sounds good in other genres, but in classical you have to be completely on. In fact, I was just singing one aria for a memorial this weekend, and for 2 weeks leading up to it, I sang only classical music, and I sang only that aria, and I practiced it over and over again to have that technique, because for classical you're starting down here. You're singing from all here, which is why I like other genres, because I can be more free with it. But yes, to get into opera, you have to go to Europe, and we're both European, but you have to go to Europe. You get assigned to a house, an opera house. You end up doing 6 roles your whole life. You get 5 or 6 roles that are yours, and then you do those over and over again, which is fabulous if that's the world you want to live in. And usually you need a sponsor beforehand, because you can't really do anything but opera. Whereas I was singing other genres to make money and to make a living. But if you're only going to do opera, you really can't sing anything else. So then you either need a sponsor, or you need to get assigned to an opera house right away. So it's a very disciplined world. So I love having that background and that training, so that I can use it in more crossover.
Nice. Because it's so fascinating to be able to hear opera singers and to be able to see how much energy is put out to the audience from, from stomach on up, and maybe hips, whatever you need to do to push that all out, right? When it comes to opera and being around other peers, how was there any type of teamwork when it comes to you learning the basics, but also getting more in the intermediate and maybe getting more advanced with your training. Did you guys also work together when at the, I guess, at the Opera House or wherever you were training at?
I went to USC, and actually, it was not a very nurturing department at the time. The opera,
Mm,
there was not. I'm not saying that necessarily competitive, but there was, well, it was competitive, and it was not very nurturing. It was when I got out into experimental music, which was still classical music, but
okay.
experimental theater and experimental music, that you then get this community with you. So yeah, in opera, you're kind of on your own. Although I do
Yeah.
remember my father worked at the LA Opera, and so we spent a lot of time with the really top of the line opera singers. And when they're there, then they're very supportive of each other. But that's the upper 0.1% in opera.
Oh man, it makes me feel like I want to give out donations. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah, find those young opera students
we need to have a GoFundMe for these opera students. That's all.
for their therapy fund. Their
Yeah,
therapy.
therapy fund. I like that even better. Yeah, the therapy fund. Because I didn't know how, because I know it was discipline, but didn't know how, you know, deep it would actually be where you're kind of like, you know, you have musicians like, and of course we'll get to you, Bernie, but we have musicians that when you're going and you're learning, you might train for yourself, but then you also have like jam sessions, right? You have sessions where you can play with other people and kind of learn from each other and, you know, kind of have that type of group, right? That group that you can actually really rely on. But I've always known that opera, and even hearing from like musicians, that there is that you have to practice, you have to be on point as far as with that and really be disciplined as well too. So how long have you been
Yeah.
singing opera?
So it was, so yes, I just want to say something. For
Sure.
example, when we went out to dinner, if I was singing the next day, I would not have gone out to dinner with us, because
Okay.
if you're singing classical, you can't go out. You cannot get a cold. I mean, with other styles, you can sing through it, but with opera, everything has to be absolutely perfect. You can't have allergies. You can't have anything. But so
Wow.
yeah, but so I started singing classically. So I started in my teens because I was already playing flute professionally, and I was playing in the orchestra pit for
Uh-huh.
musicals. So I started training musical theater, and then I realized, no, you really need to go opera. And I grew up around opera. So that was actually, I would say, around 15, 16 is when I started singing arias. But you don't want to start opera too early, because that can be a strain on the voice because of the sound you need to produce. So
That's good.
Mm,
yeah.
yeah.
It's like the Olympics. When you're opera singing, it's training for the Olympics. Every little muscle has to be in place.
Yeah. I couldn't do that because I need all my organs in place. You know what I mean? So, I know that I wouldn't be able to make that, and I would just have to put on a record and just lip sync it. So that would be awesome. But I love it, man. I love it. But when I do see it, when I see, opera singers, I really like, I kind of like, I love it. I love it
Mhm.
so much where it's to the fact of it's something different than what you're usually hearing. But then at the same time, too, you're like, oh man, they're really, really into it. And the crowd, the audience, the one thing I love about the audience, and one of my favorite is Phantom of the Opera. I love Phantom of the Opera. And when I see that, I'm like, the audience is like
Mhm.
into it itself. Have you ever been nervous when you got on stage, Christine?
Oh yeah. But usually the nervousness comes the night before. Not being nervous about getting on stage, but nervous I'm not going to get enough sleep. Now, I'm never
Oh,
worried when I'm singing other genres, but when I'm singing classical, it's like if you don't have enough sleep, then that affects the support and that affects the pitch. So I'm never nervous right before I go on stage. It might be like a week leading up. What if I don't get enough sleep? So
right.
that's where the psychosis comes from. But as soon as I'm there in the space, in the theater, then I feel really comfortable getting on stage. But you never know. Every now and then something makes you feel nervous, and it could be a small venue or something. But for the most part, I feel very comfortable and very at home on stage because I'm constantly doing it.
Yeah.
But like I said, the classical is what stresses me out, which is why I do fewer live classical concerts now. I
Okay.
still do it, and I'll still record classical,
Yeah.
but doing the live classical is where the anxiety comes. But everything else, like singing with the Oktoberfest band or with the Irish band,
Yeah.
I'm in heaven.
I think you can move your organs around. That's what I say.
Make 'em dance.
I feel like, yeah, you can really, you can really be you, and
Right, you can do you.
exactly. Have you ever felt like when you finish, a classical or doing opera, and people's like, hey, do you want to go out and grab something to eat afterwards, and all of your energy is so gone that you're like, no, I need to go to bed?
A lot of times, but a lot of times, no. Then you feel like this euphoria. You feel really relaxed. It's almost like after a massage. You feel because you've also worked out. So,
Oh,
yeah.
right.
But sometimes I'll come home if I'm not doing anything afterwards. I'll come home and I'll go straight into house cleaning, or I'll clean. Not that I clean the house much. You can ask my husband. He's the right. I know. I mean, no, my husband's the one who does things much better at keeping the house clean. I mean, I put all my because I'm always bringing stuff to the show. I put everything away and I start putting everything away to like release that energy. But yeah, usually it's a euphoria for like 24 hours after. And then
Okay.
it's almost like a drug. There's the buildup and the anticipation and the need, and then you do it, and then there's the euphoria, and then like a day later you're like, ugh, and then you need the fix again. Yeah.
I like that because I feel that since you had all of that energy that comes out, that you'll just like be super exhausted. But I guess it depends on, if you're singing something that you love to sing and it's your passion, and then you go home and you can't go to bed till like 2 a.m. in the morning because you're so still hyped up.
Right,
I think that's a cool thing. That means you had a good night, as well. Christina,
Right.
you signed any autographs in your lifetime? Yeah.
Yeah. That's a story for another show.
I don't know.
I love
Okay,
that.
I'll say it. So there was a society, they were the Nudist Society,
Okay.
and they asked me to sing opera, give a concert, and they were all going to be nude. And I sang nude. It's not a problem. It's Europe, in Europe. And, in opera, actually, you can get away with a lot more nudity than another genre because it's so classy,
Right.
So I was singing opera arias nude. And so, yeah, definitely a lot of people.
Wow. So let me. I'm sorry. So you got me at nude. So
But
When-
classical.
we never
classical
did
nude.
I
Yeah.
never did
So
that here, no.
How do you want to see
Don't do that in the studio now. It's
entertainment?
got to be on stage.
Yes.
Yeah. It's got to be classical, and it's got to be art form. It's got to be like Neo-Greco-Roman.
We would have made it classical.
Oh, that's cool, man. That is awesome. I didn't even know that. I know that the whole European thing, and there's certain things that they actually did that was kind of like for nudist for the audience. I didn't know the whole audience was like nude. And that's interesting. Interesting. I just put a vision in my head in regards to what that could have been like. But yeah, that's
Yeah,
cool
it's not
to know.
necessarily the people you want to see nude either.
Bernie, when you first heard that story, I'm sure you heard that story before. What was your thoughts? What did you think about that?
I'm hearing it for the first time. Honestly.
You're hearing it for the first time too?
There's a lot of nudity in Europe, and they're not afraid of it. But baby, I've never been to one of these. So interesting. I'll check it out next time I'm in Europe.
Let me know how
Wagner,
it
they're
goes,
always-
Bernie. Let me know.
Dramatic music.
That could be a
Wagner,
different
they're always
segment.
doing, like, they're always doing BDSM for Wagner, So.
I love it. Hey, before we take a quick commercial break, man, hey, I just want to let you guys know we're at the halfway mark already, and I'm having such a great time with you both, man. You both are awesome. All right, you guys having fun so far?
Yes, we're having a good time.
Awesome. All right, we're going to take a quick commercial break. Everybody, we have none other than the composing team. This is Volxtronic. Yes, that's Christina and Bernie. Everybody, sit back, relax. We'll be back in 30 seconds. 2 commercial breaks. We'll see you right back.
Feeling sluggish? Struggling with stubborn weight and visceral fat? It's time to reset with Fupa Water. Packed with powerhouse ingredients like spirulina, turmeric, and aloe vera, Fupa Water is your daily detox and hydration boost all in one. Flush out toxins, energize your body, and say goodbye to that stubborn belly fat. Ready to feel lighter and stronger? Get yours today at fupawater.com. And for a limited time, use code RNSS for the Rico No Suave show and get an additional 10% off on your first order.
That sounds good.
Yeah.
The Fupa
And
Water.
welcome back, everybody. Welcome back. None other than we have the composing team. I always want to call it the dynamic duo, Volxtronic. Yeah, I got to take the S off of that because, you know, even though there's two of you, there's only one baby. Volxtronic. That's it, baby. That's all we have. That's what we had. Christina and Bernie, thank you for joining the show. And, you know, Christina, thank you so much for a little bit of history. And I'm sure my audience is loving it. But we're going to shift over to that other guy. His name is Bernie. Bernie, ooh-wee. You got a lot of time. You have a lot of time that you have invested in the music industry, over 30 years. And I'm sure it could be more because I think when I got this, I'm like, okay, he's been in the industry for quite some time. So let's talk about being a guitarist, a keyboardist, composer, and many other talents. Between the guitar and the keyboard, which one came first, Bernie?
Okay, actually, the keyboard or the piano came first. I learned classical piano
Okay.
at the age of 6. And then I turned into a teenager, and the campfire, nobody cares about the piano player. But the girls look at the guitar players. So I found my calling, and I switched. I decided to, learn guitar. And then I had a few years of classical guitar lessons.
Okay.
But for me, the notes, the described notes would never do it for me. Like I could never get the connection between what's on a piece of paper and what's supposed to come out of me or out of my instrument. So I kind of quickly went over to more rock and pop music. And after I graduated, I was a touring guitar player, studio guitar player, and that was the thing that I wanted to do at this point, and I still do.
Nice.
And over time, I felt the need to get more of a broader sense of the music, not just my guitar part. So I got more into producing, and then the technology changed in the 90s. Digital equipment got cheaper, so I had my little studio at some point, still working in bigger studios for major record companies, but it enabled something that I couldn't imagine, like in the 80s, that I can do my own production, everything. And so I've been doing that since, and I'm enjoying it a lot.
That's awesome, man. Congratulations on that. And I know that was just, kind of the summary piece, but I love music, right? I love to see how, the mentality is going when you're actually playing an instrument and then actually start to recording and then composing as well too. So the training that you have for classical, for the other genres of music, did you also do any training for the other, or was it all by ear?
That was all by ear.
Nice.
I just listened to the stuff that inspired me, and as a guitar player, it's Hendrix and Clapton and all these classic, also classic musicians basically nowadays. And you listen and you learn from them, and you make it your own. Hopefully, that's the goal, to make it your own at some point.
Nice. Did Bernie have an influencer? Did he have someone that he really looked up to? That you said, Jimmy, you said Hendrix. So, that's one of the favorites. But did you have someone that was like, hey, that's my style, and I think I can basically, if I listen to it, of course, more, I'm going to continuously get better by listening to the one artist?
I had never had the urge to become something that's already out there. So
Okay.
I'm a sponge in a way when it comes to the instrument or in general for music. Um, I don't want to be tied down to a certain style. I want to be able to do whatever feels right at the moment, or whatever the project needs, for example, whatever fits the market, and or whatever the record company wants. It's a little different nowadays, but we're
Yeah.
independent artists basically. But I kind of soaked it all in and made it my own in a way. That was my goal, at least. And but there's David Gilmour, and there's a lot of people that I looked up to. Steve
That's awesome.
Lukather. Yeah, there's a lot of guitar players, but I didn't want to be one specific one.
Yeah. Sometimes, we have those, those one, like, I was like, oh, I love Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson is my favorite. And, we have singers that may sing, because of the influence behind it. And then, like you said, you had, Jimi Hendrix was one of your favorites as well, too. But it's so good that you actually, you're that sponge, because you take everything, and now what you do is you can hit all different types of categories of music, and then
Yes.
you're like, hey, can you play this? Of course I can. Let me play this tune for you, right? And then you have another one and play that. I think it's more marketable for yourself, but also it builds your credibility over, the 30 years that you've been in the music industry. What are some of the obstacles that you kind of ran through when it comes to you being a musician? What are some of the things that, if someone from, the youth was to ask Bernie, hey, what are some of the things that I need to think about when I'm actually trying to get into those different genres of music and play either the keyboard or the guitar?
Well, the obstacles, I mean, you have to have the chops, first of all. I mean, you have to be able to play all kinds of styles of music,
Hmm.
especially if you want to be a studio guitar player. You have to do whatever people tell you to play, basically. And this is probably one of the reasons I went into producing more, because I didn't want to have to play what other people told me.
Right.
Only,
Yeah, you can
I
feel
wanted to have
that.
a say in this whole thing, and I wanted to,
Sure.
put my mark on it in a way. I didn't want to have to sound like Mark Knopfler, because there's already a Mark Knopfler, and
Right.
he's I have no problem admitting that. No, but so I always wanted to, at a certain point, I really wanted to do my own thing. But I mean, if you want to be a studio guitar player or also a live guitar player, you have to have a certain attitude.
Yeah.
You have to leave your ego at the door, basically, and be ready to let that baby go to somebody else.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Did Bernie always have, was Bernie in his earlier years, was he a shy guy, or was he really a confident guy? And you talked about the ladies, when it came to, because they didn't like the piano, back in the day. But was it building confidence, or were you already had that confidence built within you to be able to be that go getter at an earlier age?
I was probably, I think I used my shyness to kind of I used the music to cover up my shyness, I guess. So I was a
Oh,
class
okay.
clown and all these kind of things always. But basically, I can be very quiet, but I can also be fun. So
I figured that, because I'm like, well, if you have to hang out with Christina and build this baby called Volxtronics, there has to be that, hey, when we get into it, we got to get into it, for the actual audience as well too. I love the passion that you have, and I do want to ask about the composing piece, because writing music and coming up with the beats itself. What is kind of the mastermind for Bernie when it comes to him being able to put music together?
hmm, the mastermind is it's hard to tell. And it comes out of me. It like I hear something, or I get a theme for a song or an idea for a song, and if it's a good idea, if it might trigger something in me and I'll have all my tools ready in my studio, so I can just go to anything that feels right at that moment and start creating, and one thing leads to another, and you put a beat on there that you think is the right thing for that song, and all of a sudden there's a bass line in your head, and you gotta record this bass line. And if when this happens, I can move pretty quickly actually, and one thing after the other. And I try to embrace that speed in a certain way, to get something down quickly and keep it fresh and keep the ideas fresh, and not to elaborate too long over one little note or like one chord or something like that. And usually, like I mentioned before, the day after shows you if you've done a good job or not. And, and that is the defining moment in reality, when you listen to it again with fresh ears, and maybe you heard something else that evening, you went to a concert or something like that, and you come back and listen to that thing that you thought was the best thing in the world, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, I need to change this. This is not working. Oh, wow. And then you're not starting from scratch again, but you're kind of you know what to do. You're adjusting.
Yeah. So I'm gonna ask you both a question, because we're almost close to doing another commercial break, and I love commercial breaks, but I love having fun with you both. And I think this is the key. So Bernie, for you, have you ever played, or you were actually just jamming, you were playing, and all of a sudden you were recorded, and then you just realized that you just made something like so spectacular, and after you finish, you were like, yeah, let's go, right? So have you ever had those moments when you're actually composing music and just getting hype, and you know that this was going to be a hit? And it was.
Yeah, I mean, what is a hit or what is no hit is kind of, that's sure. a different question, because there's a lot of songs that you feel they're hits, but then there's a lot of things that have to work out at the same time, or in hindsight, like afterwards, after it's done, it might be a hit or it might not be a hit. So, but there's a lot of times, this happens when a good idea comes to you, and then your creativity goes on its own, and it's a good it's the best feeling in the world, obviously.
Yeah, right.
You got to be ready to let it go if it doesn't turn into a hit, really. But
But they call some things, for certain artists, one-hit wonders, right? You got the one-hit wonder, but everybody start listening to it for the rest of their lives. You know what I mean? And it's one of those hits where it's embedded in your heart. It's just embedded in your soul when you actually have that one song. And that's the reason why I asked you, because, over your time, because you're playing some really good beats, and you're playing stuff that really vibes with you. Right. And I think that when other people hear and they just vibe with it, like, oh my God, this is awesome. And that's a really great feeling to have. I'm going to switch it over to Miss Christina real quick, because it's the vocals, right? It's the vocals of when you're singing and people are smiling, and you may have came up with some lyrics itself. Have you ever had one of those surreal moments of you're actually singing, even let's say in front of an audience, and you have this, like, the lyrics and everybody's just vibing with you? Have you ever had that type of surreal moment for yourself?
Yes, and it's usually live, when I'm singing live.
Yeah.
For example, I was talking about just a recent performance I gave, and I was rehearsing the aria over and over again, and I really felt like I didn't have it, like I didn't have the support, and I just kept rehearsing, and then when I sang it live, I felt so on, because I had done the preparation, even though during the preparation I might not have felt as solid as I wanted to. I did all the practicing, and then on stage I was able to just let go, and then the technique was already embedded, and then I was allowed to let the spirit come out.
Let's go. You let the spirit out. Christina, I love it. You let the spirit out. Let's go. That is awesome. Well, guys, here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a quick commercial break, but when we come back, we're going to actually play your video for the audience, because I know they're just waiting and they knew something special was going to happen. So everybody, you already know we have none other than Bernie and Christina here from the composing team of Volxtronics, and we'll be back right after this commercial break. Let's go.
Every year, 800,000 children are reported missing. That's one child every 40 seconds. It's every parent's worst nightmare. Right now, there are 483 missing children cases still open. Your card donation can help keep kids safe and bring missing kids home. Donate your unwanted card today. Fast, free pickup, 24-hour response. Plus, you'll get the maximum tax deduction.
Call 800-723-2013.
Oh yeah. All right, everybody. So hey, I want to introduce this video that you're about to watch right now, everyone. Hey, hold on to your seats. It's an awesome video. Hey, sit back. This is the video from Volxtronic. Here we go.
Oh, du lieber Augustin, 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 oh, du lieber Augustin, alles ist hin. Down through the rabbit hole, everyone dance. Dr. Death's waiting, it is your last chance. Into and out of the catacombs, spiraling farther away from home. Take the new potion, the carriage of doom. It takes devotion to dig your own tomb. Born in this world without control, nothing is yours, you don't own your soul. Oh, du lieber Augustin, 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 oh, du lieber Augustin, alles ist hin. Oh, the wicked Augustin, 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 oh, the wicked Augustin, alles ist hin. Everything, everywhere, all that you know. Dr. Death's watching wherever you go. Digging your way out of misery. The answer is not what it seems to be. Oh, du lieber Augustin, 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 oh, du lieber Augustin, alles ist hin. Oh, the wicked Augustin, 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 oh, the wicked Augustin, everyone's dead. You are dead, I am dead, they are dead, we are dead. Oh, the wicked Augustin, everyone's dead. Oh, du lieber Augustin, 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 oh, du lieber Augustin, wo bist du? Wo bist du?
Let's go, man. Let's go. Oh,
Completely
my God.
forgot I kissed the skull.
That's gonna be my thing before I go to sleep. I'm gonna like walk myself to sleep like this. I'm like, let's go, let's go. You know, it's so cool that you guys put this together, and it gives that Volxtronic, right? That feel. That's like you could definitely feel it all the way through. And you know, that video reminds me of like the 80s, back in the 80s, in regards to like certain different types of like David Bowie and those guys, Smashing Pumpkins, but it was just that vibe. Besides your guys' style, you could definitely tell how you both put that together. So congratulations.
Thank you. And I want to say that shout out to the videographer and editor. That was my husband, John Bona. He filmed and edited it.
Yeah,
so.
it's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Great job.
But yeah, in the 80s, because that was really what I still think of when I think of music videos. I think of MTV. That's, you know, I don't.
Shout out to the cat.
And the cat and the kitty, Una. Una was the kitty, yeah.
The kitty? Oh,
Bam.
yes. Yes. What was the skeleton's name?
Dr. Death. We had Dr. Death. Yeah, the skeletons came from a friend, and
Nice.
and I once played Pinocchio in a musical. I played Pinocchio. So
I love it. Yeah, I definitely love that. And how long did it take for you guys to make that video?
Oh, just in one night.
Yeah,
I mean, my husband and I. Full disclosure, we filmed it in our house, my house, and
Easy.
my husband and I set up the locations, and then Bernie came over and we talked
shot
it
a few
through,
scenes, yeah,
shot
yeah.
through the scenes, yeah, but only a couple hours, and then the editing was my husband, so I'm not sure how many hours it took him, but
Big shout out to the husband. What's your husband's name?
John DeBona.
John.
John
Thank you,
DeBona.
sir. Yes, that's awesome, man. Well, congratulations to you both. Man, time fly by fast when we're having fun. But hey, you know what we got to do. So Bernie, you know what time it is.
Oh,
We got
yes.
something special. We got something special for you guys. And there is an instrument. And I want you guys to make sure you turn up your volumes on this one because there is this energy. And if you can explain to the audience as far as what it is and then how does it work?
So this monster here is called a theremin, and it's an instrument that you actually don't touch. You control it by on my left hand here. I control the volume, and on the right hand I control the pitch, but you never really touch it. And the further away I go from this antenna here, the louder it gets.
Oh,
It sounds very
wow.
sad right now. And the closer I come to this antenna here, the higher the pitch goes. You can do all kinds of. There's people who can actually play melodies. It's really hard, and I haven't really managed to do that. But I use it for funny, sad, and look, we have a choreography.
Yes. Oh, that's so hot. Wow.
That's our next song, by the way.
Let's go. Oh, wow. That is super awesome, man. Oh, that is so cool. I wanted the audience to be able to see this part because that is such a great tool, like instrument to actually have to scare people if they're walking in your house, right? And like that'd be good. I like that.
I had situations in the studio when I was working with people, and there might be a moment where you don't have inspiration right now, and then you bring out something like this, and then the creativity starts flowing again for some reason. What is the electricity?
That is awesome.
Right?
Man.
Was it Nikolai Tesla who created it?
I think it was. Yeah, it was.
Yeah, it's his spirit.
Yes. Good spirits. You guys got great vibes as well too. And being being in as a musician and being in music, I can just see how certain parts will come in with composing within music. That is such a great instrument to actually have. that is so cool, man. That is so cool. All right, so we got to go to there is. And I think we have a photo of this as well, too. We have the fairy tale fetish. The fairy tale fetish. Talk to us about this album.
Well, it's an EP basically, so it's 7 songs, and we just made it into a collection of folk ideas basically, and we just wanted to give these folk songs a bit of a. Some of the folk songs already have a dark vibe,
Right.
even though they are meant to be either soothing or happy, but we discovered some darkness in them.
Right.
And actually, because Christina also grew up in Europe, like myself, we both always thought about that darkness in some of these folk songs.
Yeah.
And you know, like a children's song like London Bridge is falling down. It's like this is a very very serious thing.
Right. It is. And you know, Bring Around the Rosies is about the Black Plague, and
Yeah.
Augustine was also about the Black Plague,
in
about an
Vienna,
actual
yeah.
person who survived it. So they all do sort of have dark things. And then there's also nothing more sinister than when you think of little kids and nursery rhymes, and then it gets dark. I mean, they always do that in horror movies. So,
Yeah.
Yes.
so, so
Yeah,
it
the
was
horror
our
film.
collection of songs, and then we thought, well, what? Well, it's fairy tales, you know, it's nursery rhymes, but fairy tale sounds better. And then fetish just always is edgy. You
Yeah.
know?
No, that triggered something in
Yeah,
us
yeah.
to create some dark songs around them.
Right.
Wow. Wow. Congratulations on everything that you both have done
Thank-
with each other and also on your personal journeys as well. You both were made to be that composing team, and I see exactly why you guys put things together. One of the things about, we call the gems of the world. The gems of the world, GEM, right? Gems of the world is how you are always shining a bright light, even if it's dark. You always have that light, and how you connect with people over time. So I have something for you both, right? And one of the things is that I give out shirts.
Ooh, nice.
Yes. So I give out shirts to my gems of the world. Because you both have, how can I say it? You both, when it comes to music, you both are uniquely put together to be able to give the world something different. But also, of course, you both have good influences in regards from classical to basically rock and going into different genres of music, pop, and also being able to, let your organs flow. Like Christina, you know what I mean? When it goes to, when it goes to the Irish and being able to just be yourselves. But what's cool about it is that you guys are continuously going, but you have the one thing that really stands out between you guys is that word freestyle, to be able to make great music. And freestyle is such a great thing for you both because you both are meant to actually be part of a great composing team. So Volxtronic, this is for you.
Nice. Thank you.
This is for you. Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
But you have to come in person and deliver it.
I will.
You have to play that therapy.
No FedEx here. No FedEx here. I know you guys now.
Rico FedEx. Yeah.
Right.
So we're down to the last few minutes. Do you want to say anything as far as to the audience, maybe some upcoming projects that you guys may have, or just some inspirational words that you want to tell the audience?
Well, I want to say thank you so much, Rico. It's so wonderful being on your show. And
Thank
yes,
you.
next time you're in town, you'll come up to the Santa Monica Mountains. And our music is, you can stream it and download it anywhere.
Yep.
And then talking about what you talked about, light, just keep shining the light. We're here to be the light. So bring on the light.
Let's go. Let that
And
spirit
it's our
flow.
big hope. It's our big hope that we hopefully create something in that music that resonates with people and that they see something in there that resonates to them, that relates to them. So, yeah,
Awesome.
if that happens, we're happy.
Right? Exactly.
That's what it's all about. Keeping people happy, and you're making people happy that just continuously bring that positive vibe to everyone, especially, people like me that looks up to you guys when I know what I'm going to look forward to is Halloween, and I'm going to be playing Augustine. That's all I got to say. I'm going to be playing that for Halloween.
Yeah.
So we will put up your social media before we get out of here. So we're going to put up your social media so everybody can actually be able to follow you. Of course, everyone. That is Instagram. Yes, make sure you go to Instagram, Volxtronic, no S. Make sure you go there and follow them, show some love. And then the next one is Spotify, everyone. If you want to please support them on Spotify, you'll be able to, listen to their music. Drive in a car, if you're on the dark side, hey, they might have that for you too. If you're on the light side, make sure you go ahead and, just play it still, have a great time enjoying that music. And this is the next ones for Instagram. We have Christina Linhart. So make sure you go ahead and follow her as far as on her journey on Instagram. And then, of course, we got my man Bernie Pens. Forget about it. We got my man Bernie Pens. Yes, yes, on Instagram. Make sure you go ahead and follow them. But you two, thank you so much for being on the show today. I had a pleasure having you on the show, and we're definitely going to be having you back probably next year to just check in with you to see how everything is actually going. I'm sure I'll see you before then. But thank you guys so much for being on the show. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having us.
Yay,
It's
thank
been
you
a
so much.
pleasure. It's been
Love
so much
you.
fun.
Everybody put your hands together for none other than it is the composing team, Volxtronics, Christina, and Bernie. Yeah. All right, everybody, we got to get out of here. Thank you guys so much for actually being here on the show. We hope you enjoyed yourself because I know I did. That last part, all of that, man, well, that's crazy. That was crazy. I love that instrument. That means that, hey, that positive vibe to be able to make music. We got to show our social media, everybody, before we get out of here. And you know we got a website. It is www.riconosuaveshow.com. Make sure you go ahead and follow us there. We update our highlight reels, so make sure you go from there. Here's our next one. Oh, yeah, it is YouTube. Yes, YouTube. Make sure you go and subscribe to our YouTube channel, everybody. Hey, we love what we do, and hopefully you'll be subscribed and get notified when we actually go live. Here's the next one. It's Facebook. Yeah, it's Facebook. Rico No Suave Show. Go ahead and like and love what we do. All right, here's the next one. Instagram. Yes, on Instagram, everybody, Rico No Suave Show. Make sure you go and show some love there. Go ahead and follow us. And I think we have one more. I think we have something called Mixcloud, because it is audio, everybody. After we go live, it goes to audio, Rico No Suave Show. Everybody, I want to thank you guys so much for actually being here with us on the Rico No Suave Show. Thank you guys so much for all of your support. But we always have great guests every week. But until next time, everybody, as we end off the show, just like this.